Welcome to Sci-Fi Space. Before we starting today's wonderful story, take a second to check if you've subscribed. Because it's completely free and it is a huge motivation for us to create more great stories. Supreme Commander Kale of the Arvon Empire stood rigid on the command deck of his flagship, Eclipse Sovereign. His three glowing eyes, red, gold, and blue, narrowed as he processed the report from Lieutenant Sana, his trusted aide. Her green-tinted skin flushed darker with humiliation as she spoke, her voice tight. "They are laughing at us, sir. The humans, they are actually laughing." Kale's jaw clenched hard enough to make his metallic scales rasp together. His upper limbs gripped the arms of his command chair, the reinforced metal creaking under the pressure. "Play it again," he growled, his tone low and dangerous. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing Admiral Tessa Monroe, the human representative. Her short auburn hair framed a sharp face, and her ocean blue eyes glinted with something Kale couldn't place, amusement, maybe. She didn't even try to hide the smirk tugging at her lips. "Let me get this straight," Monroe said, her voice smooth but edged with mockery. "You, the mighty Arvon Empire, are declaring war on humanity because we won't hand over mining rights to some barren rock on the edge of the Solaris system? That's hilarious." Kale's secondary heart thumped harder in his chest. The nerve of this human, the disrespect, the utter lack of fear, was unbearable. He delivered the original message himself, his voice booming through the transmission. "We are the Arvon Empire. We've conquered 15 galaxies. Our fleets darken stars, our soldiers number in the trillions. The 10,000-year peace treaty is over, and we're done with it. Surrender now, or be wiped out." And her response? Laughter. She'd laughed in his face. "You do realize we've been watching you for the last 10,000 years, right?" Monroe continued, leaning forward slightly, her smirk widening. "We've tapped your comms, studied your tech, broken down your tactics. That treaty wasn't for our safety, it was for yours." The command deck went dead silent. 50 of the Arvon Empire's top officers stared at Kale, their expressions a mix of shock and expectation. His three eyes blinked rapidly, a rare sign of agitation among his kind. "She's bluffing," Fleet Admiral Rin muttered, her deep voice barely audible. Her facial tentacles twitched as she stepped closer to Kale. "They are one species, stuck in one system. They can't mean that." Science Officer Mila, smaller and less imposing, hesitated before adding, "Supreme Commander, we've picked up odd energy spikes from Solaris over the centuries. Nothing solid, but it's possible they've advanced." Kale snorted, cutting her off. "Advanced? In 10,000 years? We took 20,000 to master interstellar travel. No species jumps that fast." His tone was final, but Rin's eyes lingered on him, skeptical. "Maybe we should send a scout ship first," she suggested, her tentacles curling tighter. "Cowardice!" Kale snapped, slamming a fist on the chair. "From my own fleet, Admiral? We're Arvon. We don't scout, we crush." The tension on the deck spiked. Mila shifted uncomfortably. "Sir, if there's even a chance she's telling the truth," she started, but Kale's glare silenced her. Intelligence Director Torin stepped forward, his exoskeleton clicking with every move. "Our data on humans is thin," he admitted. "The treaty kept us 5 light years out. Last we knew, they were primitives, chemical weapons, basic space flight, medicine that involved cutting flesh and sewing it shut. And now?" Kale demanded, his voice a low rumble. Torin's mandibles clicked nervously. "We don't know. Those energy readings could mean anything. They might have leaped forward." Kale waved a dismissive hand. "Impossible. Numbers don't lie. They are nothing compared to us." He turned back to the screen, Monroe's image frozen mid-smirk. "Replay her last line," he ordered. The recording jumped forward. "One more thing," Monroe said, her tone almost playful. "When you come, bring something worth our time. We've been cooped up in this system for 10,000 years, prepping for you. We're dying to see what you've got. The feed cut off, and Kale felt a shiver crawl down his spine, something he hadn't felt in his 400-year career. Doubt? No, he shook it off. It was anger. What's their military strength? He barked at Torin. The director tapped his data pad. Based on 10,000-year-old intel, they had maybe 60 million soldiers, 12,000 crewed ships. Us? 10 trillion warriors, 120,000 warships, each one could melt a planet's crust. Kale's posture relaxed slightly. See? Even if they've grown, they can't match that. Torin hesitated, then added, there's something else, sir. Early reports flag a weird trait in humans. Threats don't scare them, they get aggressive. And they're obsessed with death but act like it doesn't apply to them. It makes them unpredictable. Kale scoffed. Mind games won't stop plasma cannons. Set course for Solaris, full speed. As the deck buzzed with activity, officers scrambling to obey, Kale stared at Monroe's frozen smirk. That laugh, it wasn't fear, wasn't desperation. It was confidence, the kind that gnawed at him. He'd led campaigns across galaxies, crushed species without breaking a sweat, but this human unsettled him. She knows something, he muttered to himself, too quiet for anyone to hear. Sana approached cautiously. Orders confirmed, sir. The Armada's mobilizing, 120,000 ships, ready to hit Solaris in 4 weeks. Kale nodded, his eyes still locked on the screen. Good. We'll darken their skies, boil their seas, and wipe that smirk off her face. Sana saluted and stepped back, but her expression betrayed unease. Rin lingered nearby, her voice low. If she's not bluffing, we're walking into a trap. Kale rounded on her. You question me again, Admiral, and I'll have your head. We're Arvon. We don't lose. Rin held his gaze for a moment, then backed off, her tentacles still twitching. Mila and Torin exchanged a glance but said nothing. Kale turned to the view screen one last time. Laugh all you want, human, he growled under his breath. I'll make you choke on it. The Eclipse Sovereign hummed as its engines roared to life, the massive Arvon Armada forming a swarm of destruction that stretched across light years. 4 weeks to Solaris. 4 weeks to prove humanity's arrogance was a death sentence. Yet, as the ship lurched forward, that laugh echoed in Kale's mind, sharp and unshakable, like a splinter he couldn't pull out. The command deck of the Eclipse Sovereign buzzed with tension as Supreme Commander Kale paced in front of his officers. The Arvon Armada, a sprawling mass of 120,000 warships, had begun its 4-week journey to the Solaris system, engines roaring with purpose. Kale's 3 eyes burned with resolve, but the echo of Admiral Tessa Monroe's laugh still gnawed at him. He stopped abruptly and turned to his inner circle, Fleet Admiral Rin, Science Officer Mila, and Intelligence Director Torin, his metallic scales glinting under the harsh lights. Status report, Kale barked, his voice cutting through the hum of activity. Sana, his lieutenant, stepped forward, her green skin still tinged with unease. All ships are at maximum velocity, sir. ETA to Solaris, 28 standard days. Weapon systems are fully charged, crews on high alert. Kale nodded sharply. Good. They'll regret that laugh when we burn their system to ash. Rin crossed her arms, her facial tentacles curling inward, a sign of agitation. She's bluffing, she said, her deep voice steady but laced with doubt. One species, one system, there's no way they've built anything to match us. Mila, standing a step behind, shifted her weight. I'm not so sure, she said quietly. Those energy spikes we've tracked from Solaris, they've been growing for centuries. We assumed they were natural anomalies, but what if they're not? Kale rounded on her, his red eye flaring. What if? You're guessing, Mila. We deal in facts. It took us 20,000 years to conquer the stars. They've had 10,000 half that, and you think they've caught up? Ridiculous. Mila shrank back slightly, but her voice held firm. With respect, sir, we don't know what they've been doing. The treaty blocked us from getting close. Those readings could mean advanced tech, maybe beyond ours. Torin clicked his mandibles, stepping into the fray. She's right about one thing, our intel's weak. Last we checked, 10,000 years ago, humans were barely off the rock. Primitive ships, chemical explosives, medicine that sounds like torture. But now, he tapped his data pad. We've got nothing concrete. The 5 light-year buffer kept us blind. Kale snorted. Blind or not, numbers don't lie. 10 trillion warriors, 120,000 ships, each one a planet killer. What do they have? A few million grunts and some rust buckets. Based on old data, yes, Torin replied, his tone cautious. But that psychological quirk we flagged, humans don't back down from threats. They get meaner. And they've got this weird thing with death. They know it's coming, but they act like it's no big deal. It's unsettling. Kale waved him off. Unsettling doesn't win wars. Firepower does. They are posturing, nothing more. Rin uncrossed her arms, her tentacles writhing now. Then why not send a scout ship first? Confirm what we're up against before we dive in blind. Kale's gold eye narrowed, and he stepped closer, towering over her. You're questioning me again, Admiral? We're Arvon. We don't poke around, we strike. Suggest that cowardice one more time, and I'll gut you myself. Rin held his gaze, unflinching. It's not cowardice, it's strategy. If she's got something up her sleeve, we're screwed. The deck went quiet, all eyes on the standoff. Rin was a legend, decades of brutal campaigns under her belt, but Kale's temper was just as infamous. Mila broke the silence, her voice trembling slightly. Sir, I've run the numbers on those energy spikes. They don't match anything in our database, not stellar flares, not reactor leaks. If it's artificial, they could have been building something big. Maybe a fleet, maybe weapons. We should at least consider. Enough. Kale roared, slamming a fist into the console. The metal dented under the blow, and Mila flinched. I don't need maybe from my science officer. I need certainty. You're all acting like we're the ones who should be scared. We're the Arvon Empire, conquerors of 15 galaxies. They are a speck, a footnote. We'll crush them, and that's final. Torin cleared his throat, undeterred. There's one more thing, sir. That laugh, it wasn't nervous. It was cocky. Like she knows something we don't. I've seen species bluff before, but this felt different. Kale glared at him. You're buying her act? She's a human, arrogant, loud, and about to die. That's all. Rin smirked faintly, a rare crack in her stern facade. If she's so doomed, why is she so calm? You saw her eyes, cool as ice. I've fought enough wars to know that look. It's not fear. Kale's blue eye twitched. Then she's a fool. Calm won't save her from plasma barges. Prep the armada for full assault the second we hit Solaris. No warnings, no mercy. Sana saluted. Yes, sir. Orders relayed, attack formation locked in. The deck sprang back to life, officers barking commands into comms. But the unease lingered. Mila approached Torin, keeping her voice low. You think he's wrong, don't you? Torin's mandibles clicked once. I think he's too proud to see the risk. If those spikes mean what I suspect, we're not just fighting a species, we're fighting a trap. Rin overheard and joined them, her tentacles still restless. He's banking on our numbers, but numbers didn't save the Forkans when we hit them with stealth drones. If humans have something like that, or worse, we're toast. Mila nodded. And Kale won't listen. He's too pissed about that laugh. Torin sighed. He's not wrong about one thing, we're Arvon. Retreat's not in our blood. But neither is losing. Kale caught their whispers and spun around. Plotting behind my back, he snarled. Rin stepped forward, unflinching. Just making sure we don't die for your ego, sir. The air crackled with tension. Kale's hand hovered over his blade, but he held back. Get to your posts, he snapped. We're 4 weeks out. I want simulations run daily, every scenario, every tactic. They'll beg for mercy before we're done. As the officers dispersed, Kale turned to the view screen, replaying Monroe's words in his head. We've been prepping for you. His fists clenched. Prep all you want, he muttered. I'll rip that smirk off your face myself. The Armada surged forward, a tidal wave of steel and fury, but in the back of his mind, a splinter of doubt took root, small, sharp, and impossible to ignore. The Arvon Armada crossed into the Solaris system after 4 grueling weeks, a swarm of 120,000 warships stretching across the void like a plague of steel. Supreme Commander Kale stood on the Eclipse Sovereign's command deck, clad in shimmering silver armor, his 3 eyes fixed on the main view screen. Victory was close, he could taste it. The humans' mocking laugh would be silenced soon enough. Any sign they've spotted us? He asked, his voice steady with anticipation. Communications Officer Lyra tapped her console, her claws clicking fast. Nothing, sir. No transmissions, no defensive signals. Their systems wide open. Kale smirked, his red eye glinting. Overconfidence, the fastest road to a grave. Keep moving, battle formation tight. The fleet pushed deeper, passing icy dwarf planets on the outskirts, their sensors sweeping for any hint of resistance. Nothing. Kale's confidence grew. Maybe Monroe's bravado was just hot air. As they neared Nimbus, a massive gas giant banded with swirling storms, Science Officer Mila's voice cut through the comm. Sir, I'm picking up something weird in the dust cloud ahead. Kale spun toward her. Weird how? Before she could answer, the tactical display lit up with alerts. The dust cloud, a vast, shimmering haze, shifted unnaturally, breaking apart into billions of tiny specks. Not debris. Ships. Human ships, hidden in plain sight. Holy hell, Torin muttered, his mandibles snapping shut. The view screen zoomed in, revealing a swarm of sleek, needle-like craft, billions of them, pouring out of the cloud like wasps from a kick nest. Kale's gold eye widened. Target them. Fire everything. The Arvon fleet unleashed hell, 120,000 warships spitting plasma beams and kinetic slugs, lighting up the void in a blinding barge. But the human ships didn't just dodge, they danced. They twisted, spun, and darted with precision no organic pilot could match, not a single one hit. The screen flickered, and Admiral Tessa Monroe appeared, her auburn hair sharp against the sleek backdrop of her command bridge. Welcome to Solaris, Commander Kale, she said, her tone bright, almost cheerful. Nice of you to bring the whole crew. Very thoughtful. Kale's scales bristled. What is this? He roared, slamming a fist on his chair. What's with those ships? Monroe raised an eyebrow, her smirk back in full force. Oh, these? We call them the Wraith Fleet, 12 billion strong, all AI-driven. We've had 900 years to train them against your tactics. Pretty handy, huh? Impossible. Kale shouted, his voice cracking. No one builds that many ships, not in a single system. Monroe chuckled. You still hammer yours out by hand, don't you? Cute. We automated that ages ago. Our fabricators churn out a warship every 2 seconds. Do the math. Kale turned to Mila, his blue eye blazing. Weapons status. Mila stammered, all systems hot, sir, ready to fire again. Monroe sighed on screen. Really? That's your play? Okay, go ahead. Kale snarled, hit them again, full power. The armada fired once more, a second wave of destruction that should have vaporized anything in its path. The Wraith fleet didn't flinch. Instead, a cluster, maybe 1,000 ships, broke off and streaked toward the Arvon line. Defensive screens up. Kale ordered, his voice tight. The shields flared, a wall of energy meant to stop anything. But the human ships didn't slow, they shimmered, then passed right through the shields like ghosts. What the? Rin started, her tentacles freezing mid-twitch. The tiny craft made contact with 50 Arvon warships, phasing through their hulls as if the metal wasn't there. Seconds later, those ships unraveled, armor, decks, crews dissolving into clouds of glittering dust. The command deck fell silent, every officer staring in horror. 50 ships, gone, just like that. Kale's secondary heart pounded so hard he felt it in his throat. Monroe clapped her hands lightly, her voice casual. That's our ghost shift tech, lets us slip between matter states. Figured it out messing with quantum stuff. Tough to block something that ignores your defenses, right? Kale's claws dug into his chair, bending the metal. This wasn't tech, it was sorcery, a nightmare he couldn't process. So, Monroe continued, here's the deal, take your fleet and go home. Renew the treaty, 10,000 years this time, and we'll call this a misunderstanding. Sound good? And if I refuse? Kale managed, his voice a hoarse whisper. Monroe's smirk faded, her blue eyes turning cold. Then we finished the demo, and the Arvon Empire's down a commander and 120,000 ships. Your call. The screen cut off, leaving Kale staring at static. His mind raced, retreat wasn't a word in Arvon doctrine. They didn't back down, they conquered or died. But 50 ships disintegrated in seconds wasn't conquest, it was slaughter. Rin broke the silence, her voice low. She's not bluffing. That wasn't a lucky shot. Mila nodded, her hands shaking on her data pad. Those ships, they are autonomous, sir. No pilots, no limits. And that face trick, we've got nothing to counter it. Torin stepped closer, his exoskeleton clicking nervously. We're outmatched. Numbers don't mean squat if they can do that. Kale's red eye flared. Outmatched? We're Arvon. We don't run. But his words felt hollow. The view screen showed the Wraith fleet holding position, a silent threat stretching across the dust cloud. Lyra's voice trembled as she reported, no pursuit, sir. They're just waiting. Waiting for what? For him to make a move? To die? Sir, Rin pressed, we need to pull back, regroup, figure this out. Kale rounded on her, his hand twitching toward his blade. You'd have us flee like cowards. Rin didn't blink. I'd have us live to fight another day. You saw what they did. The deck was a powder keg, every officer watching, waiting for Kale to snap or bend. He didn't answer right away. His mind churned, pride warring with the cold reality of those 50 dust clouds. Monroe's voice rang in his head, your call. For the first time in 400 years, Kale felt something he couldn't name, fear, maybe, or the weight of a choice he wasn't ready to make. Hold position, he growled finally. No one fires unless I say so. It wasn't retreat, not yet, but it wasn't victory either. And that stung worse than any wound. The command deck of the Eclipse Sovereign was a tomb of silence after the human Wraith fleet's devastating strike. 50 Arvon warships reduced to dust in seconds haunted the view screen, a grim reminder of Supreme Commander Kale's miscalculation. His three eyes stared at the static where Admiral Tessa Monroe's image had been, her ultimatum echoing in his skull, go home, or lose everything. His scales trembled with rage, but his secondary heart thudded with something else, doubt, cold and unfamiliar. Sir. Fleet Admiral Rin's voice cut through the stillness, her tentacles rigid with tension. We can't stay here. They'll pick us apart. Kale's red eye flared as he turned to her. You'd have us tuck tail and run? We're Arvon, we don't retreat. Rin stepped closer, her voice low but firm. We're Arvon, yeah, but we're not invincible. You saw what they did. 50 ships, gone, and we didn't scratch them. Science Officer Mila clutched her data pad, her voice shaky. She's right, sir. That ghost ship tech, it's beyond us. Our shields, our weapons, they are useless. Intelligence Director Torin nodded, his mandibles clicking. We've got 120,000 ships left, but if they've got billions of those things, numbers won't save us. We need to rethink this. Kale's claws dug into his chair, the metal groaning. Rethink? You're all folding like cowards. We've crushed galaxies, and you're scared of one system. His gold eye locked on Rin. Especially you, Admiral. I expected better. Rin's tentacles snapped outward, a rare flash of fury. I'm not scared, I'm smart. You're so blinded by pride you'll get us all killed. That's not leadership, it's suicide. The deck froze, every officer watching the clash. Rin's words hung heavy, treasonous, even but Kale saw the flicker of agreement in Mila's and Torin's eyes. His blue eye twitched. You're challenging me, he growled, stepping toward her. Rin didn't back down. Damn right I am. Step aside, or fight me for it. One of us leads this fleet out alive. Kale's hand shot to his energy blade, ripping it free in a crackle of light. You want my command? Take it. Rin drew her own weapon, a jagged dagger pulsing with plasma, and lunged. The fight erupted fast and brutal. Kale swung wide, his blade slicing air as Rin ducked, her tentacles lashing at his legs. He stumbled, roaring, and drove his weapon down. She parried, sparks flying, then slashed at his chest. Green blood sprayed his armor, cracked, a deep gash opening across his ribs. The officers gasped but didn't intervene. Arvon tradition demanded a duel run its course. Kale staggered, pain searing through him, but fury kept him upright. He feinted left, then slammed his blade into Rin's shoulder. She grunted, her dagger clattering away, and dropped to one knee. Yield, Kale snarled, pressing the tip to her throat. Rin glared up, tentacles limp, blood pooling beneath her. Fine, she rasped. You win. For now. Kale sheathed his blade, breathing hard, his wound throbbing. Anyone else? He barked, scanning the deck. No one moved. Good. Now reverse course. Defensive formation, no sudden moves. The order stung his tongue like acid. Retreat wasn't Arvon, but dying here wasn't either. The deck sprang to life, officers relaying commands, the armada slowly turning back from Solaris. Rin stood, clutching her shoulder, her voice bitter. You're still a fool. They let us go because they can afford to. Kale ignored her, wincing as he sat, blood dripping onto the floor. Mila approached, hesitant. Sir, the Wraith fleet's holding position, no pursuit. They're just watching. Torin added, that's what worries me. They don't need to chase us. They've already won. Shut up, Kale snapped, his patience gone. We're not beaten, just regrouping. We'll analyze their tech, find a weakness, and hit back harder. But his words rang hollow, even to him. The fight with Rin had shaken the crew. Whispers rippled through the ranks. A commander bleeding, challenged by his own admiral, wasn't the invincible leader they'd followed into battle. Sana reported quietly, course set, sir. ETA to Arvon Prime, 3 months. Crew morales, low. Kale grunted. They'll get over it when we come back and crush those humans. But the doubt in her eyes mirrored his own. Rin limped over, her tone icy. You think this is over? They've got billions of ships, Kale. Billions. And we lost 50 without firing a shot that mattered. Wake up. Kale's hand twitched toward his blade again, but he stopped. You're alive because I allow it, Rin. Push me again, and you won't be. She smirked, weak but defiant. Keep telling yourself that. You're not the only one who can lead. The threat hung there, unspoken but clear. She'd try again if he faltered. Mila broke the standoff, her voice urgent. Sir, I've been scanning the Wraith fleet's energy signatures. They are off the charts, way beyond what a single system should produce. They might be pulling resources we can't even fathom. Torin nodded. If that's true, we're not just behind, we're obsolete. 3 months back home won't fix that. Kale glared at them. Then we adapt. We study. We don't roll over and die. But the fire in his voice was fading, replaced by a gnawing realization. Monroe hadn't just beaten him, he'd humiliated him, and his crew knew it. The Armada limped away, a shadow of its former glory, every officer wrestling with the same question, what now? As the Solaris system shrank on the view screen, Kale clutched his wound, the pain grounding him. He'd won the duel, kept his command, but at what cost? Rin's defiance, the crew's shaken faith, and those billions of ghost ships loomed larger than any victory he could claim. This isn't over, he muttered, more to himself than anyone else. But deep down, he wasn't so sure. For the first time in 400 years, Kale felt the weight of a fight he might not win, and it was crushing him. 3 months of silence dragged the battered Arvon Armada back to Arvon Prime, a journey steeped in shame. Supreme Commander Kale had locked himself in his quarters most of the way, nursing his chest wound and replaying the Solaris disaster in his mind. 50 ships dusted, Admiral Tessa Monroe's smirk burned into his memory. The Eclipse Sovereign docked at the capital's orbital spire, and Kale emerged, his silver armor dulled, his 3 eyes dim with exhaustion. He expected a firing squad or a demotion. Instead, the High Council summoned him to a private chamber. The council room was stark, lit by cold blue light. Arch-Councilor Vexar, ancient and gnarled, sat at the head, his 4 eyes piercing Kale. Report, Vexar rasped. Kale recounted it all: the humans' Wraith fleet, the ghost shift tech, the humiliating retreat. His voice cracked as he finished. They outclassed us. I pulled back to save the Armada. The councilors' faces darkened, but no one spoke until Vexar raised a hand. There's more. A visitor arrived yesterday. The chamber door slid open, and a human stepped in, T. Monroe, but a tall, lean man with dark skin and close-cropped hair. He wore plain clothes, no uniform, and carried himself with quiet confidence. This is Dr. Ethan Cole, Vexar said. He came alone in a shuttle smaller than a fighter. Kale's red eye flared. How'd he get past our defenses? Cole smiled faintly. They are impressive. Those mines in the sinus belt are a nice touch. But I managed. Kale bristled, his wound throbbing. You're Supreme Commander Kale, right? Cole continued, unfazed. Admiral Monroe says hi. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, glowing device, no bigger than a pebble, pulsing blue. What's that? Kale growled. Cole held it out. The complete scientific history of humanity, every breakthrough, every theory, from fire to phase shifting. No weapons, though. You'll have to work that part out yourselves. Kale stared, his gold eye narrowing. Why give us this? Cole's smile tightened, not quite a smirk but close. Because progress needs competition. We've been alone too long, 10,000 years with no one to push us. You're our spark. Kale took the device, its warmth strange against his scales. A spark? After you crushed us. Cole nodded. Yeah. But there's a catch. Something's coming, something bigger than us both. We call it the Voidborn. The council stirred. Councilor Dries leaned forward, his voice sharp. What's this Voidborn? Cole's expression turned grim. An old force, older than your empire. It lives in the dark between galaxies, where physics bends. We've tracked it for centuries. It sees us humans, Arvon as bugs on a windshield. And it's waking up. Kale's blue eye blinked fast. You expect us to believe that? After your little show in Solaris? Believe what you want, Cole said. You've got the tech, now check it yourself. But if we don't team up, neither of us stands a chance. Vexar's 4 eyes locked on Kale. You trust this human? Kale snorted. Trust? No. But this, he held up the device, could change everything. They're handing us their edge. Why, unless they are scared too? Dries scoffed. A trick to keep us distracted while they rebuild. Counselor Traz, younger and hot-headed, slammed a fist on the table. We should strike back now, use their own tech against them. Kale shook his head. No. They've got billions of ships. We'd lose before we started. This isn't about revenge, it's about survival. The room split, half nodding at Kale's caution, half glaring with wounded pride. Cole watched, calm as ever. Monroe figured you'd argue. She authorized me to offer a deal, not separation this time, but cooperation. Science swaps, cultural talks, prep for what's coming. Military's off the table unless you ditch the conquest gig. Kale's scales bristled. You're saying we bow to you? Cole shrugged. I'm saying you've got a choice, evolve or die. Your call. Vexar raised a hand, silencing the room. We'll vote on it. But first, Kale, what do you say? Kale gripped the device tighter, his mind racing. Pride screamed to reject it, to rally the armada and fight. But the memory of those 50 ships dissolving and now this void-born threat gnawed at him. We take it, he said finally, his voice low. Not because I trust them, but because we can't afford to stay stagnant. Not anymore. The council murmured, torn between rage and reason. Cole nodded, satisfied. Smart move. You'll need it when the Voidborn show up. Kale met his gaze, his wound aching. For once, he didn't argue. The device in his hand felt like a lifeline and a chain. The council chamber on Arvon Prime buzzed with debate, the glowing device from Dr. Ethan Cole sitting at its center like a ticking bomb. Supreme Commander Kale stood silent, his wound still raw, his 3 eyes tracking the arguing counselors. Half-wanted sibling wanted to study the human tech, to catch up. The other half, led by Counselor Traz, demanded war, their pride still stinging from Solaris. Kale clutched the device, its blue pulse steady in his grip. He'd agreed to take it, but trust. That was another story. Late that night, alone in his quarters, Kale made a call. Pride wouldn't let him bend, not fully. He activated a secure COMM to a hidden vault beneath the spire, where the Starbreaker slept, a relic weapon from Arvon's early wars, capable of cracking planets. Power it up, he ordered the tech crew. Target Solaris. If we can't win, no one will. His voice was cold, final. The Voidborn tail gnawed at him, but Monroe's smirk gnawed harder. He'd show her. The council vote dragged on, but Kale didn't wait. The Starbreaker hummed to life, its core glowing red as it charged. 3 days later, it was ready. Kale stood on the Eclipse Sovereign's deck, patched up but limping, and gave the command, fire. A beam of crimson energy lanced across the void, aimed straight for Solaris. He smirked finally, a win. But the smirk died fast. The beam twisted mid-flight, bending back toward Arvon Prime like a boomerang. What the hell? Kale choked as alarms screamed. The view screen flared, showing Admiral Tessa Monroe's face one last time. Nice try, Kale, she said, her tone sharp but calm. We hacked your toy centuries ago, left it as a test. You failed. Before he could react, the Starbreaker's beam hit. Arvon Prime shuddered, then cracked, continents splitting, spires toppling, billions gone in a flash. The Eclipse Sovereign bucked, hurling Kale against the wall. His vision blurred as green blood pooled beneath him. The ship held, just barely drifting in the wreckage. Kale crawled to the screen, coughing, as Monroe's image flickered back. We didn't wipe you out, she said. Not all of you. That's your shot to rebuild. Use it right this time. Her eyes softened, just a fraction. This was your wake-up call. Don't sleep through it. The feed cut, leaving static and silence. Kale slumped, his scales dull, his empire ash. Outside, a handful of ships survived, maybe 1,000 carrying stunt crews and a few counselors who'd been off-world. Among the debris, they found it, the human device, intact, glowing faintly. Science Officer Mila, bloodied but alive, grabbed it. They left us this, she rasped to the remnants. They want us to learn. Fleet Admiral Rin, her shoulder still scarred, nodded grimly. Then we'd better start. Kale didn't move, staring at the void where Arvon Prime had been. His gamble had cost everything: his rank, his world, his life. Soon enough, he'd wanted to prove strength. Instead, he'd proven Monroe right. The humans hadn't just won, they'd judged him and let the leftovers live. His last breath rattled out as Rin took command, barking orders to rally the survivors. The Armada's scraps limped away, clutching the device like a lifeline. Monroe's laugh echoed in their heads, not triumph, but a warning: evolve or fade. A new Arvon would rise, maybe, forged in ruin and forced to face a galaxy where they weren't kings anymore. The Voidborn loomed out there, and humanity watched, waiting to see if they'd pass the next test. And that's how humanity turned the tables, leaving Arvon in ruins but with a sliver of hope. What do you think? Was Kale's betrayal a dumb move, or did he have a point? Drop your thoughts in the comments, I read every one. If you love this twist, smash that subscribe button for Sci-Fi Space. We've got more galaxy-shaking stories coming your way. See you in the next one.